Hi, I'm Kaypoema, and I'm here at the VX Arts Factory with my first art solo exhibition, Where the Sun Splits Open. It's inspired by my forthcoming memoir by the same title, Where the Sun Splits Open, and it features on 3 generations of women in my family and our migration from Barbados to America, and all of the different selves that I had to morph into to survive the diaspora. What I think is really special about this exhibition is that it shows me as a poet, as a digital artist, and as an educator. And I think that it's something that many people will resonate with.
Song about them masculine nights and them people days, living the champagne life. Everything's okay, let's toast it up. Oh, baby, let's toast it up.
So my mom was married to a man who used to beat her all the time. And you know, I didn't even know that it impacted me the way it did until like, yes. No, not that camera, no. Yeah. And so, yeah. And I didn't even realize it impacted me until like 5 years ago. Oh, thank you.
Song about them masculine nights and them people days, living the champagne life. Everything's okay, let's toast it up. Oh, baby, let's toast it up. Oh, said we play all night and we play all day, living the champagne life. Everything's okay, let's toast it up. Baby, let's toast it up. Oh, champagne life. Song about them masculine nights and them people days, living the champagne life. Everything's okay, let's toast it up. Oh, baby, let's toast it up. Oh, said we play all night and we play all day, living the champagne life. Everything's okay, let's toast it up. Baby, let's toast it up. Oh, champagne
One day, I'm giggling too much in class, and Miss Thomas put me down. You're too right to let your academics disturb this conversation. Then her eyes fall to my ill-fitting shirt. Clothes with honor inside, not highlight. Her voice isn't full, only careful. Another teacher, Miss B, steps into the hallway. She joins our conversation without hesitation. In one swift motion, she reaches behind me and tugs down the loose strap of my bra. This, she says, is where it belongs. She lifts the band until it settles across the center of my back. When the band hits here, she explains, and your breasts sit just beneath your chin, that's a proper fit.
Her fingers move deliberately, gracefully, sure. My back feels unburdened. My breath deepens, like I've finally been allowed to exhale a century of holding everything in.
Closer to my dream. Coming over me. I'm getting high. Closer to my dream. I'm getting higher and higher. Feel it in my sleep. Sometimes it feels like I'll never go past you. Sometimes it feels like it's forever, ever. And I'm going high, closer to my dream. I'm going higher, higher. I can almost feel. Sometimes you just have to let go. Leaving all the fears to burn down. Push them all away so I can move on closer to my dreams. Feel it all over me. Close your eyes and see what you believe. I'll be higher, I'm going high, 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 high to my higher. I'm moving upward and onward and beyond. I can see reaching out my arms like reach. I'm so close, it's like just reach. I can feel my dreams. I'm moving closer to my dreams. Sometimes it feels like never but you never choose to walk away.
I was 20 years old, shelving books at LaGuardia Community College Library when Nikki Giovanni reached for me. The faint smell of black coffee and old paper clung to my clothes. It was early afternoon, and I had just come from a morning lecture and had a Balducci's evening shift waiting for me. My brain was buzzing with to-do lists, syllables, exhaustion. I was sliding books into place on the shelves when I saw it. Black feeling, black talk, black judgment. Nikki Giovanni bold on the spine, leaning forward like it was waiting for me. I paused, hand hovering in the air. Something warm rushed past me. I pulled it from the shelf, dust drifting like confetti. The first poem did not whisper, it dared. The language snapped, the rhythm stomped, the truth rose. Every line felt like a match being struck along my bones. I read one poem, then another, then pressed the book to my chest like a secret I wasn't ready to speak out loud.
All the women I've been. It lives inside the installation you are standing in. The objects, digital and handmade collages, and audio all around you hold the multiple selves that had to emerge for the artist to survive. Nothing here is erased. Everything is held. What you will hear is the artist returning to herself.
All the women I've been.
I have been the girl carrying her mother's stories like beads in a pocket.
The daughter standing in the doorway, listening to the wind argue with the walls.
The woman braiding grief into poems so silence becomes less unbearable.
The scholar dreaming in citations.
The poet spilling constellations onto canvases of digital light.
The mother whose sons know exactly where to place their hands when the world falls apart.
The sensitive being whose beauty magnifies at dawn.
The lover who keeps trying to resurrect tenderness from men afraid of their own shadows.
The dreamer who gathers memory like wet soil for something green to grow.
Even the storm could not unmake me.
I've carried the record of women in my bloodline, a blueprint for my becoming.
The artist stitching fabric into galaxies so my ancestors can breathe.
The teacher urging truth from trembling voices.
The partner mistaken for a lighthouse when she dreamed her own world in darkness.
The mother warming a home with sheer will and soft prayers.
The woman whose heartbreaks taught her the shape of her own threshold.
The friend who holds others with gentleness.
The writer who birthed entire sons from one aching sentence.
The woman collecting herself from the floor again and again.
Even the storm could not unmake me.
I have been the girl who chose books when the world felt unsafe.
The teen hiding brilliance because the world punished wild black girls.
The island child cradling Barbados in the back of her throat.
The mother stitching joy into her son's backpacks.
The poet laureate who crowned the Bronx with her own breath.
The woman whose body learned its worth too slowly.
The artist who turns trauma into altars of hope and light.
The lover who believed promises carved from smoke.
The woman whispering her own name back into her bloodstream.
Even the storm could not unmake me.
I have been the one sleeping for days because sorrow has seasons.
The one who wakes the children tiptoeing like small priests around her grief.
The one whose heart reached for unsure love.
The one who let herself break in order to rise.
The one who swam through heartbreak until it softened her edges.
The one who remembered her power in the morning light.
The one who believed love was a distant consonant.
The one who learned healing in her own house.
The one who finally placed flowers at the feet of every version of herself.
Even the storm could not unmake me, but still.
I am the woman gathering all these cells.
Like rivers returning to the same sea.
The woman who lights honey on the holy place of her heart.
The woman who forgives the girl she once scolded.
The woman who listens to the chorus inside.
The woman who honors the journey that nearly drowned her.
The woman who names her divine self without flinching.
The woman who knows she is never alone.
Because even the storm could not unmake me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, so first of all, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for your poetry, thank you for your artwork. Thank you for spending 3 months with the Excess Factory. I'm Laura Alvarez, I'm the Vice President, COO, and I do a lot of programming and stuff in the factory. I'm also an artist, and I know how important it is to have time for yourself to create your own things. You want to talk? Talk. No? And thank you so much.
Thank you for letting us be a part of this exhibition. We love you. I like you guys too. Thank you.
say that when I started working on the installation, and I knew I wanted to write a poem that kind of represented all the multiple selves, all the different versions of women that I wanted to be. Each and every one of the women that I chose to be part of the performance was chosen intentionally. They have been part of like very special journeys. We're not even going to talk about Dominique, because Dominique has been, we've been friends for how long? Like 25 years? We older than you. Okay. But I just want to say thank you for all of you for saying yes, for being there for rehearsal, for showing up tonight. And I don't think any of my art would be what it would be without you guys and without the support that you guys give me. So thank you. So I also want to talk a little bit about what inspired the installation. So the installation is inspired by my forthcoming memoir, Where the Sun Splits Open. And it basically traces my journey, the migration from Barbados as an immigrant child coming to America. And thinking that I am going to encounter with my family too, the American dream. Right? And not only bring on a lot of intergenerational trauma from the island, but coming here and meeting systemic oppression and all of those other layers of trauma, and kind of what that did to me, right? All the different selves I had to morph into to survive those different eras of my life. And finally getting to a place where healing had to be intentional. And I had to make a conscious decision to move forward with a new thought and to leave some of those old things behind. And so that's what you're going to find in the installation tonight. It begins with the lineage, and you're going to find digital artwork that represents my grandmother, my mother, and then me. And when you get to the fragments of self, there's going to be audio. Wherever you see a QR code, you can scan it, and you can actually listen to me read parts of the memoir that's associated with that object. And so have fun. If you haven't already taken a look, take a look around, and just thank you for being here. Woo! Yeah! Does anyone have questions? Anyone have questions?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing? Good to see you. How old were you when you and your family moved from Barbados?
I was 1 year old. Yeah. And so one might not think that I had an immigrant experience, but I had a very immigrant experience. One good way to tell is the way I pronounce words, right? So I have a very American accent, and people always make fun, Dominique, of the way I pronounce words because patois was spoken so often in my house that in my head I hear the words one way, and then I say it another way. Some other ways is kind of like watching, firsthand experience, watching the way my mom was judged for the way she spoke, right? And she had 3 kids when she was 17, when she came here. And so not being educated and kind of navigating America in that space, and all of that impacted how I grew up. Yeah. Did anyone else? Yeah.
Sorry. How do you think the poetry could bring you closer together?
Oh, I think that's a really, I think that what happens, right, well for me, right, when I'm writing the poem, I have me in mind, right? But what I think is so beautiful is that when people read the poetry or they connect with it in a way that I don't even think they're going to connect with it, right? They have a perspective that maybe I didn't even see. And so now we're bonding, right? Sometimes the stories are very similar, but sometimes they're not. And they give me a new perspective, and I give them a perspective that they didn't see. So I think that's the tango dance that we kind of do with poetry, and I love that.
Yeah. Is there any conflict between those different types of women, and how do you, in the domains that are most important to you, how do you integrate all those different women?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question. I think what I'm learning now is that I have to integrate them, right? So at one point I thought I had to leave some behind, and I had to take some with me. And what I'm learning now is that each of them had something important for the journey, for where I am now. And so it's really good to just honor all of them. Right? Yeah. Because you need anger and rage. You need sadness. You need, grief teaches you things. You have to, it's important to hold on to all of those things. Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up? Do you have any advice for younger artists coming up or women who are trying to find their artistic voice and how to, whatever stage they are, how to really be authentic and speak to their...
So what I'm going to say is going to sound selfish. And some artists are probably not going to agree with me. But I think that you should always create from here. Do not create wondering how the audience is going to view your work. You just create for yourself. When I first started writing poetry, I did not think I was going to publish. I didn't care about that. I was writing for survival. And that's what made it so authentic. It was the place it was my safe space. So I poured everything into that space. And that's how a lot of people connect with me, right? They hear that and I'm saying things that maybe they don't want to say out loud, that I'm saying, whatever. But I think that you have to create from here first. And whoever resonates with it, resonates with it. And whoever doesn't, doesn't, right? Because art is subjective. But always start from here. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm curious if you have, I don't know if it's possible, but if you have a favorite piece that you've, like a digital piece that you've created.
Out of the digital work, probably Poema. And when I was putting and you'll see her in the Fragment of Self room, when I was putting the installation together, so she's next to Carrie Ann. So Carrie Ann is my biological name. And so those two artworks on that wall is Carrie Ann Poema, which is my legal name now. So it's like she existed since the beginning of time. And I didn't even do it on purpose. But I also created her in Carrie Ann because I don't have a lot of photos of me as a child, so I started creating some of my own, right? And I put flowers because I don't remember many soft things from my childhood, and she's mine. So yeah, I think that she would probably be one of my favorite. Okay, I want you guys to see the installation. So walk around and see the installation and oh, one more thing. The installation actually ends here on the sunflower wall, and so it asks you to do something. It asks you, this is the naming wall. So you can read the prompt, but I want you to leave a post-it on this wall once you read the prompt. Okay. changes on those mornings. It thickens, presses in like something heavy and suffocating, as if the apartment itself knows something heavy is coming. The cereal, the soggy frosted flakes Melissa is spooning into her mouth are turning to mush, falling apart in the milk. Grandma watches from the kitchen, her eyes narrow slits, waiting. The tension wraps around us, thick like the oil in the frying pan. Eat it, Grandma commanded, no matter how mushy it becomes. My sister tries. She lifts the spoon to her mouth, but her hands are shaking. The spoon hovers near her lips, then she pulls it back, her face contorting. She gags. Once, twice. Tears begin to swell up in her eyes, mixing with the wetness of the cereal. Grandma steps into the hallway, holding the pan of hot grease like a weapon. Eat it! Her words slow fire. Or I'll pour this oil over your head. I sit frozen, my own frosted flakes forgotten and mushy. I watch my sister wipe tears from her face, the bowl in front of her a battlefield. She swallows a huge gulp. Grandma and the pan of hot grease return to the kitchen. February 2008. Barack Obama was gaining momentum as hope bloomed on television screens. Amy Winehouse won 5 Grammys, her voice a howl stitched in honey and hurt. And I was howling too. Mom said when the elevator doors opened on the maternity floor, she heard a girl screaming like death had her by the throat. Mom turned to the nurse. My God, that girl is in a lot of pain. The nurse looked at her gently. That girl is your daughter. Later, Mom laughed. It's the small babies, she said. They always bring so much pain, make you do all the work. She would know. I was her smallest child. Zaire was 4 pounds, 14 ounces, 23 hours in labor. I lost 14 pounds during my pregnancy, as if I fed him with my bones. My womb was too dry for safety. so the doctors had no choice but to induce. I never confessed I'd start smoking again, but my body knew, my shame knew, and yet he arrived, small, howling, magnificent. He is a tiny boss with wide, expressive eyes. Even in grief, he brought laughter, the kind that insists we survive. Zaire said it best when he said, I taught you how to love, but Woody taught you how to laugh.
I love you.
5 p.m. A man behind glass summoned me. Sign here. Where am I going? I asked. He shrugged. We don't know yet. Just have a seat. I watched stories play out around me. A boy trying to make his baby sister laugh. An old man staring into the corners like they held answers. A teenager biting her already cracked lip. I sat suspended between becoming and undoing, thinking, what will become of me? 12 a.m. A man in a ripped blue coat arrived, reading names from a clipboard. I followed him and others into a van marked DHS. I learned that means Department of Homeless Services. The van coughed black smoke and smelled like melted rubber and old sweat. Once seated in the van, the man called our names again, checking them off on his list. No one knew where we were going. I was the second to last to be dropped off. 2:30 a.m. We stopped in front of a tenement building on West End Avenue in Manhattan. Inside, a woman with gold dreadlocks and tired kindness sat behind a desk. She and the man exchanged banter while I stood there, half erased. Baby, come here, she finally said. You don't have a coat on. People from the neighborhood bring stuff sometimes. What's your size? I told her. She wrote it down, then handed me a plastic bag stuffed with soap, sheets, and pillowcases. I'll show you your room, she said. As we walked to the elevator, she added, you'll meet your case manager in the morning. They'll go over everything. In the elevator, she turned to me. You're gonna be okay. This is a good facility. You thought the degree would make space for you, that the craft would speak louder than your body. It won't. They'll mistake your hopelessness for rage. They'll look at your poems like postcards from a country they'll visit on a lavish vacation, while the locals suffer in the background. They'll call on Baldwin when they need language for diversity, but go silent when you quote your grandmother. You will learn to listen to yourself louder than you listen to them. You'll find your people, not all at once and not always in the classroom, but you will find them. You will teach, not like they taught you, sterile, safe, and detached. You will teach like your life depends on it, because it does. Because theirs might too. And one day, after graduate school, you'll realize the MFA didn't make you a writer. You were always one. The program was just another room you passed through. Hang your degree if you want, or burn it, but never let it name you. You are already everything they said you were not. The summer before 5th grade, Mom, Abba, Melissa, and I settled into a 2-bedroom apartment on College Avenue. The apartment was bigger than the Beach Avenue apartment. Mom's bedroom sat at the far end of the apartment, distant enough that Melissa and I could pretend the shouting belonged to someone else. The street on College Avenue hummed with stray dogs, busted hydrants, and the sound of lives trying to outpace histories. For a time, Mom's sickness held the violence at bay. Her body too fragile, her eyes too dim. But as her strength returned, the fists returned too. That's when we decided to kill him. Mom had bought boric acid to exterminate the roaches. I do not remember which of us first thought of it, but we thought, if it could kill roaches, it can kill Abba too. Melissa took the lead. I stood by the window, flipping my head back and forth, watching the apartment door. Melissa unscrewed the cap of Abba's iced tea bottle, a jug that lived in the refrigerator like a beloved relic. With sturdy hands, she shook the powder in. The dark tea color lightened in the kitchen light. Melissa sealed the lid and slid it back into its place like nothing ever happened. We waited. Hours passed. Mom and Abba returned home, their footsteps loud thuds against the floor. Abba opened the fridge, pulled the bottle out, and shook it once. Again. A pause. Then with a grunt, he hurled it into the sink. Those girls did something to my drink.
So I read the descriptions of these pieces and I found the descriptions quite interesting and they relate to the figures depicted. This is her grandmother, this is her mom, and this is her. This piece is small yet powerful. This is, if you can see, it's more coming into form, say, compared to the grandmother, even though they're all interrelated. You see the artist's voice developing. The artist's voice developing as a child, even though she's connected to her mom and her grandmother. And I like the intellectualizing of her history, the thoughts behind the pieces. Definitely a smart artist, but one with emotions nevertheless. And she is telling her family history in a very colorful, honest way that many of us can relate to. And I think that's the power of art, to tell your story and have others dive into it in a very empathetic way. And Kay does that in these pieces.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think this piece encompasses your journey. I think it shows, it's a mix of kind of a tragedy and sadness and confusion. But then like beaming through all of that is her light. She's gold, she's blooming, she has spots of red all around it, which for me signify that fierceness, that refusal to give up. I think it's incredible. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So my favorite piece is actually these two together. I was first drawn to this one because of the writing in the background and the roots at the bottom. Carrie Ann talks a lot about trauma and how it's intergenerational and how it's in our lineage. And what we see here is a piece called Awakening, where someone is learning, but that process requires unlearning. And so I like how these two pieces are looking at each other because they're inseparable. So you have two stages of the same process, and you also have it where one of them is growing out. So she's very fruitful. And I love how they're looking at each other. And this one is also called Relearning Oneself. So the process of awakening isn't possible without relearning oneself. And there requires you to actually look at yourself, right? So you look at your previous self as we see in these pictures. And the writing in the background for me symbolizes what is required and what happens in a heart and mind, and what's possible when you scribe. when you sort of write yourself into a new reality and a new awakening. And for Carrie Ann specifically, she talks a lot about how writing for her was an instrument of breakthrough, an instrument that allowed her to transform herself and write herself into a new reality. And so all of these pieces for me are hinged on this image. She's rooted her new becoming in her writing. And that speaks to me because I'm a writer as well. But I love the aspect of the eyes and facing oneself, looking oneself in the mirror and one's authentic self and deciding from that point on, who do you want to be? So I love this piece.
I think this picture speaks to me just alone because of the colors. And if you look here, you have the little rose popping out. And just the background itself, it's black, but the red to me is almost as if it's blood per se, in my opinion. And it's just a woman just looking out into to me with the black, and you have the little grays in it. It's just looking out, and I don't want to sound so corny, but it's like into the abyss. So this is what I see this picture as. I think the color is beautiful, even the way the frame is. I always say I'm an undiscovered artist, but I think the frame matches the pictures. And if you look here with the blood, it's actually dripping. Or actually, it seems like it's dripping blood. The rose is dripping down, and it's splattered all across. And even up here, I didn't even see this. Even with this flower up here, it doesn't have the rose, so to speak. So this is just purity. This is bleeding coming down, and it's bursting out. And even with the branches, she has a lot of pictures that have branches. So to me, this is being embedded, and it's springing up into a full-blown woman. And it's called Olivia, and I think it's beautiful. Digital art, I like that. And I think it speaks to me. I just like the color overall.
So I would like to talk to you about this piece. This piece reminds me of when I was a little girl and my grandmother or my mother would do my hair. We used to use these little bow ties with like a ball on it. And so this just brings me back to like my childhood and like honestly, and then the bottom, the roots growing, it just, I don't know, it's just something so like magnetic about it. And over here, I love the colors. It reminds, just like, I get in my head a lot, so this kind of makes me think of like my thought process and just like being in my head and all the little things that I'm like thinking about. And yeah, it's a really beautiful piece.
This Woman on Fire is one of my favorite pieces, and I think it is one of my favorites because it relates to her experience going through her education, acquiring her education and getting her degrees, right? So this one is in regards to her bachelor's degree, and it just to me symbolizes that flame or fire that started probably small, and then she was able to continue to feed as she acquired her education, because eventually she did get her master's degree in creative arts, and that to me is like the culmination of who she eventually becomes, because she was always a writer. I knew it from the moment I met her in high school, right? She was a writer. And to see the culmination of it, to me, it's very symbolic of this, a flame that was able to be fed by oxygen. And so that's why this is one of my favorite pieces.
I feel like this moment is a full circle moment because in 2019, I had the privilege of reading her thesis when she was writing the Diary of an Intercessor, and like now to see it to be a full-blown like exhibition of her poems is like a full circle moment and shows you where God can bring you. So yeah, like I'm just happy, inspired to like see this come full circle. So yeah.
This photo and these pearls right here, I listened to the audio in here and it really gave me a sense of the cross between femininity and, you know, crossing over from girlhood to adulthood without even knowing that you're crossing that threshold. Hearing the poem when she talked about the pearls and how, you know, it made her feel feminine in that moment, but she was also experiencing so much grief, is a lot of the stories that are untold by, little girls or women who look like us. So it was moving to hear how she kind of bridged those worlds, with her pearls that her mom gave her, and going through the journey within the room of, the experiences that she's had with family, as well as her mom, and coming back to these pearls. It was such a delicate moment, but you could feel it on the inside.
So I see a lot of emotions. So I see anxiety, I see shame, I saw grief over here, and fear. So this could be anxiety at a young age. That's could be fear, and the middle part maybe a little regret, but it's a mixture of stuff. But I like the whole concept of the sunflower, the sunflowers on the wall opening up, and being able to say something about the different pieces. Put a post-it up on it, and I'm excited about the whole thing. I'm glad
Which piece speaks to you the most?
The middle piece.
Why?
So her expression, the coloring, the lips, the glasses, it's a real intense look. Yeah. Like she's looking at she can see the whole thing. Yeah.
So this piece speaks to me a lot. I think it's one of my favorites because when you think about the journey that the exhibit takes us through her experiences and her journey to becoming who she is, which is what the bigger picture over here is about. I think this one, for me, embodies the joy of childhood, the joy of youth that she didn't necessarily experience. And the fact that she was able to offer that for her children, so that in a situation, in a circumstance where she doesn't have many pictures of herself as a young person, where she's smiling and happy, I think this picture of her son, Zaire or Ziggy, embodies that success of her breaking generational curses, and being able to raise a child who embodied joy and happiness that she didn't necessarily get a chance to really experience as a child. And so we see that in his smile, right? It makes you can feel the joy in Ziggy's smile when you look at this picture. And knowing that he is her son, and she was able to create that experience for him, create a life for him where he can feel joy, is symbolic of an embodiment and an embodiment of her journey and the success of her journey.
So I am a big fan of Kaypoema's work. She is a fantastic poet and artist, and I love what she does on the page, and I love how she uses words, and I love this painting because it is so explicitly her, with all of the colors and the red and the gold, and she just emanates so much joy and so much beauty. So it's beautiful to see it on the page as well.
This says, "The past does not stay behind, it changes clothes and follows you." And that line is throughout the entire exhibit of this room. And I think this is like such a powerful statement, especially for what Kay is talking about with looking at her past, and even just like considering how past traumas follow her through her life. And I think that's really beautiful. It's a hard reality to look at, but I think it's also a really beautiful thread throughout her story. So to me, this statement is one of the coolest highlights of this room.
The piece that most interested me was the Frosted Flakes, and that seems kind of, corny, but honestly, it brought me back to this morning. I literally had a bowl of Frosted Flakes this morning, and it felt so simplistic, but so elevated that it made me question, why was it there? And I talked to the person who's behind all of this, and she said so many wise words about her childhood and how it connected her with her kids. And honestly, I felt so grateful to be able to experience that. And with me, cereal is a staple piece in my house. We eat it often for breakfast, and it's just so beautiful. But this experience has been great. Met some pretty nice people, and I feel really content right now.
So the piece that really resonated with me is called The Way My Mother Loved Me. It's a glimpse into a moment in the kitchen with Kay and her sister, and her mother's cooking for her. And the kitchen is a place of like a lot of healing and transmutation, especially in the Black community and especially in, you know, West Indian community as well. And even her approach to form, like the slashes in between the lines, kind of reminded me of like a knife being cut in the kitchen. So there's like I could hear it. I could hear the oil in the pan and the fire going up underneath. So just very beautiful, very effective, and like very immersive. So that's what I loved about it.
Coming. I hope that some of the artwork, the poems, even the objects resonated with you, made an impact in your life. If I had any advice to leave you with, it would be to keep writing, keep creating, keep making art. Make sure that you make a space so that whatever's inside of you can become creative.
Only one thing on her mind, and she ain't gonna stop till she gets there. A little sunshine, she can't wait to live in that moment. I know she'll own it, so don't you go throwing shit on the sunshine. Don't let no one stop your shine. They'll even try to dim your light. Throwing shade, no matter what they say, it's always gonna be some hate. Never too late, your time near, no you can wait. You'll find a way, you don't need no one as long as you got your faith. Woo! This time you won't need, oh, you put the work in. You're the closest thing to perfect. It won't be easy, but you won't quit, no, cause you're so determined. Ain't no doubt about it, you gon' win, long as you stay focused. Oh, this is your moment. Only one thing on her mind, and she ain't gonna stop till she gets there. Wherever there is, all she needs is a little sunshine. She can't wait to live in that moment. I know she'll own it, so don't you go throwing shit on the sunshine.